All right, we're here with Andrew Lachman, the head of the Democrats for Israel Los Angeles Club, the only pro-Israel Democratic club in Los Angeles.
Yes, we're also the Jewish Democratic Club in Los Angeles.
And a member of the DNC,
Yes.
Democratic National Committee. Okay, so are you a regular attendee at the AIPAC conference?
I've been to the pre-reception once before. I've only been present for a short time, but I've been active with AIPAC in Los Angeles for some time, going to their events as well.
Okay, if you read the blogosphere, especially the liberal blogosphere, there's a lot of efforts to try to suggest that AIPAC has moved maybe more to the right in a bunch of years, but you're a card-carrying Democrat. You're here. You feel comfortable, and are you at home here?
Well, the interesting thing is AIPAC has many different positions. I mean, they're solidly pro-Israel, and some of the people who tend to be Republican in the past have been loud under Republican administrations. But the thing is, the Democrats have always been willing to speak up and make sure that all pro-Israel positions are represented, that it is not a partisan issue, and that there are many of pro-Israel Democrats that are out there. And frankly, now that they're all in power, both in the House, the Senate, and the White House, you're finding actually that more pro-Israel legislation is being passed, and it's being more rationally thought through than it was when the Republicans were running it.
So as a Democrat, you feel at home here?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you have concern on the left? And when you're talking to other Democrats and liberals, that there's work to do in terms of kind of shoring up the support further to the left when you're talking about Israel?
I think that we've let those relationships basically fall to the side over the years. Compared with the 1960s, we were there with many of these groups, and as we've become more mainstream, we've in some ways lost touch with those.
You're talking we generally as a Jewish community.
The Jewish community as a whole. I mean, there are lots of progressive Jewish groups out there that are very involved in that struggle and are very pro-Israel at the same time. But we need to be there on those issues, and then they come around and they're there for us. But if we aren't there fighting side by side with them, then they don't know us, and then the pro-Palestinian people come in, and they are there. So they only get to hear one side of the story. And that's a lot of what Democrats for Israel Los Angeles has tried to do, is create those relationships so that, at least within our state Democratic Party, we generally don't have those problems because we've maintained those relationships. And the African American community, the Latino community, and the progressive community have generally stood with us when we've needed them.
So what's the main talking point or talking points when you're reaching out to groups like that, when you're talking about Israel and the importance of U.S.-Israel relationships? I mean, is there a particular issue or two where you feel like you have to do the most work in terms of getting a message out?
Well, there's two things. First of all, we talk about shared values. It's not about democracy. It's about universal health care, universal education. Israel is one of the few countries that allows gays and lesbians to serve in the military. You have freedom of religion. Women are given full equal rights compared to the countries around it. The other area which I found actually really gets people to listen is say that Israel is not a perfect country. It's a democracy. Democracies make mistakes, and at the risk of being blatantly partisan, look at the mistakes that we've dealt with the last 8 years under the previous administration. And we didn't throw out American democracy because of the Bush administration. Why would you want to get rid of Israel just because of the natural ebbs and flows that occurs with every democracy? The bottom line is that there's democratic accountability in Israel. If people go too far in one direction or another, the electorate pulls them back.
Telling us about it.
So one of the examples of how this has worked is the California Democratic Party convention last month. Several pro-Palestinian activists put forth a resolution blaming Israel for the entire situation in Gaza. About 25 Jewish delegates got together. We wrote a counter-resolution working with Raoul Wallenberg Democratic Club and AIPAC, and actually even J Street got a little bit involved with that one. And we basically put forth a resolution saying peace is everyone's responsibility. Israel has responsibility, Hamas has responsibility. They've got to stop smuggling weapons, they need to stop firing rockets, they need to recognize Israel. And our resolution ended up passing, and the anti-Israel one ended up getting folded under and basically tabled, because even the people who considered themselves pro-peace were impressed that we took a position where we said everyone was responsible.
How important was it that you guys came back with something constructive as a counter, as opposed to just trying to sink the pro-Palestinian resolution?
Well, I think it was very important to come forward with something responsible because it bolsters your position. If you have two people at two extremes, then ideology comes into play and people's gut feelings. But if you come out as a moderate and say, look, everyone has responsibility for peace, it's not going to be a one-sided deal, then everyone agrees with that. Peace is not a one-sided matter. If Israel were to lay down its arms, but Hamas didn't, there'd be no Israel. So we always try to get that message across, and it's worked very well. We had people who are staunch pacifists vote for our resolution and against the other one because they liked the message and they agreed, and they ended up adopting pro-Israel positions as a result.